I was meant to be beautiful. The world would have looked to the sky and seen hope.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a trade recap of last week and this week. Basically, one day that I had this week that was just incredibly good. And what I was looking for, because I also shared every step in the Discord. So I can honestly just look at it and review. But here's what I'm actually going to be showing you guys and why I'm feeling good to make another trade recap video. Let's check that it sees this. Okay, I have to bring my Telegram over. See that now. There you go. So this is my saved chats. I use it as like a journal. There you go. Okay, so first things first, I ended up depositing earlier this week, like 98. It was like $100 basically into the broker that I'm showing you guys. Basically $100, and from that $100, I was able to flip it into like 2 or 3K, and along the way I got some withdrawals. So just last week it was already like 2.5K, right? 1,100, 950 here, and 500. So that's already like $2,500. And then I also last week secured a payout on my, which is 3%, 60% split, 3,200, 3,200 times 60, which ended up being like 1,980. That wasn't the final number. The 3,000 whatever, I just took a screenshot. But yeah, that was also like 2,000. So last week I already started off my month, literally the first month, which was NFP. And as you guys know, we don't trade NFP. We don't trade NFP because of like basically it's not really that strong of a news event, and up until NFP it ends up consolidating and building up the liquidity. So it's probably one of the worst trading weeks every month. So the first week of every month, one of the worst. But my reasoning was it's gold, and there's going to be a lot of economic news coming out. So I was just going to trade the days up until NFP, and that's the days that I actually ended up securing the payout and flipping the live account. I tried to stay out the rest of the week, and then I started trading again early this week, like in Sunday. So yeah, let's go back to that. So yeah, avoid NFP by all means. Then going into this week, I withdrew another 800 and 3,000. So one of my objectives that, let me actually go grab my journal real quick. Just want to make sure there's nothing that I don't want anybody to see on here. So when I bought this journal, so this is like literally 2 pages in, I was like, okay, what is this journal going to be? And actually, this is the first page, technically. And I titled on the first page, Mark's Goals Journal. And I basically use this as like because I always have everything on my phone, but like over time, I've just kind of, because I do everything on my phone. I basically run my business on social media on my phone. I trade on my phone. Like, I don't even trade on my computer. I use it to close positions sometimes on MetaTrader, just because if I enter too much positions and it's like, no stop loss positions, which I have been doing on live account. Like, no stop losses. It may sound bad, but it's like I will close them right away if it goes to my like psychological level, wherever I'm putting that stop loss at. And it was mainly to flip the account. Like, I'm not gonna put this as like my system. I would never teach anybody to spam a bunch of trades on their account. That's why I pulled it up on my browser so I could close it right away. And it was because if you're trying to over leverage on your account, basically if it goes into profit, you can use the amount that you made, right? So even though you didn't close the position, if your account was previously at 500, now it's at 650 because of a position that's $150 profit, you can now trade as if you have 750 in the account, or 650, right? So then you can add more positions, and that's what I would do, basically. I'd add positions every time I'd grow in profit, and that's how I was able to flip this account so easily. And I was like, man, this seems just illegal because like I'm trading these higher time frame fair value gaps, and it's just going in my direction. But when I started, I set up these goals. So my first objective, I guess there's nothing too crazy on here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that anyways. My first objective here is $750, and the next one was 1,000. Okay, so I hit 1,000 pretty fast. That was basically my first like trade that got me to 1,000. Then 5,000 was my second objective. The next is 10,000 and 100,000. But the 5,000 one says withdraw half withdraw half. So once I got to 5,000, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to withdraw half and then continue with the rest that was in the account, which would have been 2,500. I ended up withdrawing 3,000 and leaving 2,000 in there. But besides the point, I got to my objective, which was something that I had written. It was like in my mind already. So when you have a live account, you want to have these psychological goals, because I could have held the account and just been like, oh, I'm going to hold it. But if you don't have a specific number that you're going to stop at, you risk it going up to a certain level, and you're like, it's a crazy amount of money, but you just aren't content because you don't have a specific goal, and then it will go back and you'll make nothing. In fact, you'll end up losing money on the positions. So yeah, that's why I ended up stopping at 5,000. I also posted a story about it. I was like, should I hold to 100,000? Should I close at 5,000, which I'll have, which was something that I had already planned to do anyways, or close right now? It was like at 4,000 at the time. And the majority also put what I did, which is close 5,000 and withdraw half. And that's what I did. That's why I secured these two payouts, and then also the funded payout from earlier that I showed you guys. So already, basically 2,500 there plus 4,000, 6,500. Yeah, and that adds up. That's basically, I made that 4,000 in a single session. It was like that one trade from 1,000 to 5,000. Which was literally crazy. And I had ended up making way more because I left 2,000 in the account. And just today on buy side, which I shouldn't have even been trading because I saw news, and I was literally texting my brother, and he was like, why are you trading? Like, and it was literally just like greed, and because I've been doing so well, I'm just like, I'm gonna go with the flow. I'm catching every move, but that's what happens. You just get in your own head. I'm still really happy with how it went down. But unfortunately, I am going to have to probably start again from fresh. I don't know if I'll put more money into it this time, start from 1,000 or try to flip it from 100 again. Still deciding, and we'll see. But that's how it's going so far. So already this month is 8,500, and we're 9 days into the month. That is insane. That is the kind of freedom that we're after, because I'm not over here... I just have a lot of friends, so I'm going to use them as an example. I'm not installing Windows, I'm not doing something that's like a construction job. I'm not laboring out here. I basically trade from my phone, and I print money out of thin air, adding no value to society. And that's not something that I'm proud of. I mean, that's why I'm out here making YouTube videos. At least help some people out. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that I was aiming to do. It's the reason why I started trading, because you get freedom, and then you're unemployed the rest of the month. And basically anything that you will ever set your mind to after you're profitable, you will be able to do, because trading will be your avenue, first of all, giving you the time, right? Like, I've recently started getting into clothing, and trading has been giving me the time, or even in school, like for my education, I don't have to go work a job. It's giving me the freedom to do what I have to do currently and the things that I want to do. So for clothing, right, I have to make investments. I have to order samples. Those are expensive. If I take the risk and order ahead of time so I can deliver the products like to customers right away, like if I take that risk on, that's already like $2,000, But with trading, I can easily fund another business and make it successful. Therefore, I'll have two forms of income. Then another form of income. I can put my money into different places. I can invest into other things. And that's the kind of thing that I was after. I was never after like this job, other than like sales maybe. Sales is like a decent job where you actually can scale based off of the amount of work that you would put in. And I figured out that social media is like literally an insane area to kind of just fuel your business organically. You don't have to pay for ads. You can literally make videos, and if they blow up, you will get paid. That's how it works. So let's actually hop into the charts and go over the trades that I took, why I took them, what I'm looking for now. So first of all, on the daily time frame, just gonna make sure you guys can see that. Yep. Okay, first things first. Daily time frame, we have a daily IFEG that it stopped up. I actually wanted it to pull all the way back here, and I would have caught an amazing trade today, and literally because I had still $100 in the account. I think I sent it to one of my friends. I'll show you guys the picture. I had $100 in the account, and I ended up doing it again. You guys will be able to see that. Okay, top, it's inverted, my camera, but that's $95, and below it, it's $1,000 from these positions. So I ended up flipping $900 that was in my account again, because I added more positions from that $98 as it was in profit, and I caught the move all the way here. But it was right here, and there's basically what? 3 hours left until market closes. So I'm like, okay, it's just gonna stay down here and close right here. Because I wanted it to close there, because on the daily time frame, if it closes right here, then that's a really good sign for a bearish, like, sell side, and we can go down to this target right here. That's what I was thinking, and that would have been beautiful. If it had closed, I would have held those positions, left them there, and probably made another 5K on that account. And that's insane to think about. But it didn't work out that way. So instead, it ended up coming back up for who knows what reason. It wants to go buy side, or maybe it just wanted to sweep out these guys because it was a huge bearish candle. And now I'm just watching this right here. It's a balanced price range, but I would really like if it closed below it. And I'd probably get into some nice sells from here. That's my current market objective. I guess that'd be a little more useful than looking at what I did earlier this week. But let's hop into the Discord and start looking at that. Okay, Discord's also on another page. Could you guys see that? I don't know. That's the thing, because my OBS is in a different page. I'll just drag it over anyways. Okay. Discord. Yep, it works. Okay, so I was actually sharing everything in the general chat, not even in my section, because I didn't want to spam it up. Let's see. Okay. So this was on some buy side. This was the trade that actually got me from 1,000 to 5,000. So starting off Asia session, right, for my time, this is 4 p.m. right here. Asia session starts at 5 p.m. my time, so in an hour right here. So obviously this is prior to Asia session. I'm looking for some setup already, and I'm like, where would I optimally want to be to get into a position for Asia session, right? And I saw it's running down from this. This is a 4-hour fair value gap right here. So it's a 4-hour bearish fair value gap. So it's obviously going to be bearish when it taps into it. This is the first time that we tapped into it and we start running down. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm bullish and I want to see this thing inverted. Like, that's what I said. We want to see inverted. We have the 4-hour above. I asked this actually before I sent it out. We still want to make the 4-hour IFG though. This guy understood, one of the VIP students, and I said, yeah, we're looking for this to get inverted. So it's going to be our target. But we can enter a nice trade before it becomes an IFG and hold it after it becomes an IFG. So 1-hour IFG this was the one that I'm talking about. And I was looking for it to get in there during Asia session. It makes absolute sense. And that's how I feel like, that's literally how I feel half the time, that it just feels like Matrix. Like everything's coming together, all the pieces. When it's a high probability day with good price action and you know your ICT concepts and you know how to use the different time frames together, like that's a 4-hour fair value gap. But we're taking a trade from the 1-hour fair value gap because Asia session is starting and we're looking for a trade from a lower time frame target to get up above a higher time frame one so that we can continue buying. Like it's literally just some Matrix stuff, and it just feels so good to do that. And it seems like this guy's finally unlocking that, you know. He's seeing how we trade and learning that stuff. So, quick little sponsorship for my VIP. If you want to learn how I trade, you want to learn how these students are seeing the market, then hop in the VIP. But yeah, so it finally tapped in, literally exactly what we were looking for, and it's 440, right? Asia session hasn't closed, but it already started pulling up, and I saw Asia session get in, so I got in my positions. Next thing, we scale down even lower, right? I already got in. 20 minutes. So I said, watch this 4-hour inverted. Because obviously we're looking for this as our entry, but we're actually just looking for it to come back up here and invert the 4-hour fair value gap, which means close above it. Macro just swept some 1-minute highs, looking for the lows. This guy got in. I got in. So this is what I meant. So macro swept the highs or somewhere down here, and it was heading for the lows down here. And the next thing that I put, this is a 15-minute time frame, as you can see down here. Next thing that we're looking for is this 15-minute fair value gap that's also bearish to get inverted. So basically, whenever we run from a higher time frame, we scale down to the lower time frame and look for confirmation. This was our next confirmation. And so it closed above this thing, right? 4 minutes left, and then it ended up closing above. Boom. You can't see it, but the next candle already opened. That's why it went. Oh no, this is the 30-minute time frame. But we did close above it. There you go. So closed above, tapped back in, and we're looking for buy set from there. I'm already in my positions, but what I said right here is there's a 30-minute IFEG right there because we're about to close. And I'm scared of this thing because it can be a drawn liquidity, which means it might pull back. Even though there's a 15-minute, because this is more significant, it's on the 30-minute time frame, it's more significant. So if there's a 15-minute and a 30-minute, it's going to respect the 30-minute. It's going to want to come back to the 30-minute time frame. It's going to want to close above the 30-minute time frame for IFEG. Even if the 15-minute already created an IFEG, that doesn't mean it's going to go up if there's a 30-minute one. So always consider the higher time frame over the lower time frame one. Next thing is it ran up from the 15-minute one, but I still said I'm still scared of this thing because it's on the higher time frame. So it ended up coming back in here, and I did say that I have some break-even positions. Yeah, I have some positions that break even there. And what I ended up doing here, which is the reason why my account actually flipped so much, is when it ran down, I moved my stop losses on my break-even positions a little bit lower than this thing because I knew that it was likely to just tap into this thing. And as it did, I ended up entering even more positions, and I said this was 3 lots because I counted this as a 0.5. But this was actually a 0.05. So 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, which is 1 lot, 0.5. This is another 1 lot, so it's 2.5, and this is 2.55 lots and not 3 lots, which is still a crazy amount. And that's the positions that I ended up holding all the way to my profit target, which was above this 4-hour right here. Now I'm on though this is a 30-minute time frame. But we did end up getting to that 3,000 mark. 4-hour for rally gap. We were looking for it to close above, so 26 minutes left, and I was holding my positions up until we got there. I don't know if I ended up sharing it there. But I did share right here, right? We wanted this thing to become an IFEG. This is how it looked on the 4-hour time frame, running from the weekly fair value gap down here. So that was everything there was beautiful. And for Asia session today, I'll be looking for at this 4-hour FEG to be potentially become an IFEG. So that's where we'll long it from, and that's what I secured those 2 payouts that I showed you guys earlier in this video. So that was the first trade this week that made me some nice money. Last week was, I believe, on sells. Let's go back to the higher time frame so I can honestly remember what I did. Weekly. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, this week we had a weekly fair value gap. I honestly don't even remember what trade I took last week. Maybe I can scroll through. I don't know if I even sent it out. I said we are back in the weekly. We have an entire week, so I'll be looking for an expansion once we get our weekly profile. So obviously I'm looking for buys, and then this was a potential, we might get an IOFED wick, which is a term that ICT always uses for, it's honestly overcomplicated, but it stands for institutional order flow entry trail. It's just like a wick that pulls back and closes in the fair value gap. I might have caught some sells earlier into the week that actually secured it, because I don't remember what trades I took last week. That's why it's important to have a journal. But yeah, that's a quick little simple trade recap, and rewatch the first 5 minutes of the video if you're wondering what I'm going to be looking for. As I mentioned right here, we have this daily IFEG, and it ended up stopping here. Why didn't it go higher? That's significant to look at. It's also scary to look at these lower ones right here. Like, why didn't it pull all the way back down when it had the chance to do so? So, like, one of the things that I'll be watching is like this, for example. We have this 1 hour right here, and these two are bullish confluences. So it might run up from these bullish confluences to go higher. But I am looking for some sell side to that daily that we missed. And just because there was news today and a huge buy side doesn't mean we're going to continue going up right away. Like if there's some stuff that's left over, like say we still have 2 days in the week and tomorrow we have some crazy news. We have PPI, yeah, it is CPI. CPI tomorrow and PPI Friday. So that can definitely pull back down. If there's something that the market missed out on and it's on the weekly range, so we have this for value gap on the weekly time frame and we have this daily that is known as like a discount. I think it's going to run down there and tap into it before actually continuing higher to all-time highs and new limits. So let's see if we end up getting that. That's what I'm keeping my eyes on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.